This is Kim Blaylock with SDG Bible Study. That's the Soli Deo Gloria Bible Study coming to you on this Wednesday morning, April the 8th, 2026. Midweek, and thankful to be up and about and reading God's Word this morning. Thankful to be reading from the reading plan as it happened, a 1-year walk through the Bible chronologically and Daily Doctrine, a 1-year guide to systematic theology. This morning we'll be in a new book. We're going to be in 1 Samuel, the first 3 chapters, 1, 2, and 3. So join me as we read God's Word together. 1 Samuel chapter 1. Now there was a certain man from Ramathaim Zophim, from the hill country of Ephraim, and his name was Elkanah, the son of Jeroham, the son of Elihu, the son of Tohu, the son of Zuph, an Ephraimite. Now he had 2 wives. The name of one was Hannah, and the name of the other Peninnah. And Peninnah had children, but Hannah had no children. Now the man would go up from his city yearly to worship and to sacrifice Yahweh of hosts in Shiloh, and the 2 sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, were priests to Yahweh there. And the day came that Elkanah sacrificed, and he would give portions to Peninnah, his wife, and to all her sons and her daughters, but to Hannah he would give a double portion, for he loved Hannah, but Yahweh had closed her womb. Her rival, however, would provoke her bitterly to irritate her, because Yahweh had closed her womb. And so it would happen year after year. As often as she went up to the house of Yahweh, she would provoke her, so she wept and would not eat. Then Elkanah, her husband, said to her, Hannah, why do you weep, and why do you not eat, and why is your heart sad? Am I not better to you than 10 sons? Then Hannah rose after eating and drinking in Shiloh. Now Eli the priest was sitting on the seat by the doorpost of the temple of Yahweh, and she, bitter of soul, prayed to Yahweh and wept despondently. And she made a vow and said, O Yahweh of hosts, if you will indeed look on the affliction of your maidservant and remember me, and not forget your maidservant, but will give your maidservant a seed amongst men, then I will give him to Yahweh all the days of his life, and a razor shall never come on his head. Now it happened as she multiplied her praying before Yahweh that Eli was watching her mouth. As for Hannah, she was speaking in her heart, only her lips were moving, but her voice was not heard. So Eli thought she was drunk. Then Eli said to her, How long will you make yourself drunk? Put away your wine from you. But Hannah answered and said, No, my Lord, I am a woman oppressed in spirit. I have drunk neither wine nor strong drink, but I have poured out my soul before Yahweh. Do not consider your maidservant as a vile woman, for I have spoken until now of my great complaint and provocation. Then Eli answered and said, Go in peace, and may the God of Israel grant your petition that you have asked for him of him. And she said, Let your servant woman find favor in your sight. So the woman went her way and ate, and her face was no longer sad. Then they arose early in the morning and worshipped before Yahweh, and turned back and came to their house in Ramah. And Elkanah knew Hannah his wife, and Yahweh remembered her. Now it happened in due time that Hannah conceived and gave birth to a son, and she named him Samuel, saying, Because I have asked him of Yahweh. Then the man Elkanah went up with all his household to offer to Yahweh the yearly sacrifice and pay his vow. But Hannah did not go up, for she said to her husband, I will not go up until the young boy is weaned. Then I will bring him, that he may appear before Yahweh and stay there forever. And Elkanah, her husband, said to her, Do what is good in your eyes. Remain until you have weaned him. Only may Yahweh establish his word. So the woman remained and nursed her son until she weaned him. Now when she had weaned him, she took him up with her with a 3-year-old bull and 1 ephah of flour and a jug of wine, and brought him to the house of Yahweh in Shiloh, although the boy was young. Then they slaughtered the bull and brought the young boy to Eli. And she said, O my Lord, as your soul lives, my Lord, I am the woman who stood here beside you praying to Yahweh. For this young boy I prayed, and Yahweh has given me my petition which I ask of him. So I have also dedicated him to Yahweh As long as he lives, he is dedicated to Yahweh. So he worshiped Yahweh there. 1 Samuel chapter 2. Then Hannah prayed and said, My heart exults in Yahweh. My horn is exalted in Yahweh. My mouth speaks boldly against my enemies because I am glad in your salvation. There is no one holy like Yahweh. Indeed, there is no one besides you, nor is there any rock like our God. Do not multiply speaking so very proudly. Let arrogance not come out of your mouth. For Yahweh is a God of knowledge, and with him actions are weighed. The bows of the mighty are shattered, but those who stumble gird on strength. Those who are full hire themselves out for bread, but those who are hungry cease to hunger. Even the barren gives birth to 7, but she who has many children languishes. Yahweh puts to death and makes alive. He brings down to Sheol and he raises up. Yahweh makes poor and rich. He brings low, he also exalts. He raises the poor from the dust. He exalts the needy from the ash heap, to make them sit with nobles and inherit a seat of glory. For the pillars of the earth are Yahweh's, and he set the world on them. He keeps the feet of his holy ones, but the wicked ones are silenced in darkness. For not by power shall a man prevail. Those who contend with Yahweh will be dismayed. Against them he will thunder in the heavens. Yahweh will render justice to the ends of the earth, and he will give strength to his king. And he will exalt the horn of his anointed. Then Elkanah went to his home at Ramah, but the young boy ministered to Yahweh before Eli the priest. Now the sons of Eli were vile men. They did not know Yahweh. And this was the legal judgment for the priests with the people. When any man was offering a sacrifice, the priest's young man would come while the meat was boiling with a 3-pronged fork in his hand. Then he would thrust it into the pan or kettle or cauldron or pot, all that the fork would bring up to the priest. Thus they would do in Shiloh to all the Israelites who came there. Also, before they offered up the fat and smoke, the priest's young man would come and say to the man who was sacrificing, Give the priest meat for roasting. He will not take boiled meat from you, only raw. Then the man would say to him, They must surely offer up the fat and smoke first, and then take as much as your soul desires. Then he would say, No, you shall give it now, and if not, I will take it by force. Thus the sin of the young men was very great before Yahweh, for the men spurned the offering of Yahweh. Now Samuel was ministering before Yahweh as a young boy girded with a linen ephod, and his mother would make him a little robe and bring it to him from year to year, when she would come up with her husband to offer the yearly sacrifice. Then Eli would bless Elkanah and his wife and say, May Yahweh establish for you a seed from this woman in place of the one she dedicated to Yahweh. And they went to their own home. Yahweh indeed visited Hannah, and she conceived and gave birth to 3 sons and 2 daughters. And the young boy Samuel grew before Yahweh. Now Eli was very old, and he heard all that his sons were doing to all Israel, and how they lay with the women who served at the doorway of the tent of meeting. So he said to them, Why do you do such things, the evil things that I hear from all these people? No, my sons, for the report is not good, which I hear the people of Yahweh passing about. If one man sins against another, God will mediate for him. But if a man sins against Yahweh, who can pray for him? But they would not listen to the voice of their father, for Yahweh desired to put them to death. Now the young boy Samuel was growing in stature and in favor both with Yahweh and with men. Then a man of God came to Eli and said to him, Thus says Yahweh, Did I not indeed reveal myself to the house of your father when they were in Egypt, enslaved to Pharaoh's house? Did I not choose them from all the tribes of Israel to be my priest, to go up to my altar, to burn incense, to carry an ephod before me? And did I not give to the house of your father all the fire offerings of the sons of Israel? Why do you kick at my sacrifice and at my offering, which I have commanded in my habitation? and honor your sons above me by making yourselves fat with the choicest of every offering of my people Israel. Therefore, Yahweh, the God of Israel, declares, I did indeed say that your house and the house of your fathers should walk before me forever. But now Yahweh declares, far be it from me, for those who honor me I will honor, and those who despise me will be cursed. Behold, the days are coming, and I will break your strength and the strength of your father's house, so that there will not be an old man in your house. And you will look upon the distress of my habitation, in spite of all the good that I do for Israel, and an old man will not be in your house all the days. Yet I will not cut off every man of yours from my altar, so that your eyes will fail from weeping and your soul grieve, and all the increase of your house will be put to death in the prime of life. Now this will be the sign to you which will come concerning your two sons, Hophni and Phinehas. On the same day both of them will be put to death. But I will raise up for myself a faithful priest who will do according to what is in my heart and in my soul. And I will build him a faithful house, and he will walk before my anointed always. And it will be that everyone who is left in your house will come and bow down to him for a piece of silver or a loaf of bread, and say, please assign me to one of the priest's offices, so that I may eat a piece of bread. 1 Samuel chapter 3. Now the young boy Samuel was ministering to Yahweh before Eli, and word from Yahweh was rare in those days. Visions were infrequent. And it happened at that time as Eli was lying down in his place. Now his eyesight had begun to fade, and he could not see well. The lamp of God had not yet gone out, and Samuel was lying down in the temple of Yahweh where the ark of God was. That Yahweh called Samuel, and he said, here I am. Then he ran to Eli and said, here I am, for you called me. But he said, I did not call. Go back, lie down. So he went and lay down. Then Yahweh called yet again, Samuel. So Samuel rose and went to Eli and said, here I am, for you called me. But he answered, I did not call, my son. Go back and lie down. Now Samuel did not yet know Yahweh, nor had the word of Yahweh yet been revealed to him. So Yahweh called Samuel again for the third time. And he arose and went to Eli and said, here I am, for you called me. Then Eli discerned that Yahweh was calling the young boy. And Eli said to Samuel, go lie down, and it shall be, if he calls you, that you shall say, speak, Yahweh, for your slave is listening. So Samuel went and lay down in his place. Then Yahweh came and stood and called as at other times, Samuel, Samuel. And Samuel said, speak, for your slave is listening. And Yahweh said to Samuel, behold, I am about to do a thing in Israel, at which both ears of everyone who hears it will tingle. In that day I will establish against Eli all that I have spoken concerning his house from beginning to end. And I have told him that I'm about to judge his house forever for the iniquity which he knew, because his sons have been bringing a curse on themselves, but he did not rebuke them. Now therefore I have sworn to the house of Eli that the iniquity of Eli's house shall not be atoned for by sacrifice or offering forever. So Samuel lay down until morning. Then he opened the doors of the house of Yahweh. But Samuel was afraid to tell the vision to Eli. Then Eli called Samuel and said, Samuel, my son. And he said, here I am. And he said, what is the word that he spoke to you? Please do not hide it from me. May God do so to you, and more also, if you hide anything from me of all the words that he spoke to you. So Samuel told him everything and hid nothing from him. And he said, it is Yahweh. Let him do what seems good in his eyes. Then Samuel grew, and Yahweh was with him, and let none of his words fall to the ground. So all Israel from Dan even to Beersheba knew that Samuel was confirmed as a prophet of Yahweh. And Yahweh appeared again at Shiloh, because Yahweh revealed himself to Samuel at Shiloh by the word of Yahweh. That's going to conclude our reading from the biblical text this morning. Now on to reading from Daily Doctrine. Day 98, the Noahic covenant established in Genesis chapter 9 is fundamentally a covenant of preservation. God promises a predictable regularity to days and seasons. He also promises that he will never again destroy the world with a flood. God will not curse the ground after the flood, chapter 8, verse 21, as he did after the sin in the garden, chapter 3, verse 17. The covenant arrangement in Genesis chapter 9 indicated to all living things that the war of watery annihilation had ceased. Famously, the sign of his promise is a rainbow, a natural sign. Whether it had appeared in the sky before Genesis 9, we do not know, and a bloodless sign, unlike circumcision and Passover later to be revealed in the Pentateuch. Although the rainbow has been taken as a sign for sexual revolution in our day, it was a Jewish Christian symbol first, and we should not give it up. The rainbow is a sign to us, and even more explicitly, a reminder to God himself. Chapter 9, verse 16, that God will never again destroy the world with a flood. God has hung his bow in the sky, and he will not send forth his cataclysmic arrows of judgment on the earth until the end of the age. Chapter 8, verse 22. The final judgment is coming, but it will be fire instead of water. 2 Peter chapter 3, verses 3 through 10. Unique among the major covenants in the Bible, the Noahic covenant is not made with God's people alone. The covenant is made with Noah, his family, their descendants, and all living things. See the language of every all in Genesis 9, 10a, 10b, 11b, 12b, 15a, 15b, and 17b. The Noahic covenant is a covenant of common grace, not special grace. It encompasses the godly and the ungodly. It even includes animals. To be sure, the Noahic covenant is an administration of the one covenant of grace, but it is not directly about redemption as much as it is about the cosmic preservation that God's later redemptive. Read that again. To be sure, the Noahic covenant is an administration of the one covenant of grace, but it is not directly about redemption as much as it is about the cosmic preservation that makes God's latter redemptive work possible. As Babnick puts it, this covenant with Noah, Genesis chapter 8, verses 21 and 22, and chapter 9, verses 1 through 17, though it is rooted in God's grace and is intimately bound with the actual covenant of grace because it sustains and prepares for it, is not identical with it. It is rather a covenant of long suffering made by God with all humans and even with all creatures. The Noahic covenant is both like and unlike God's covenant with Adam. There are undeniable similarities to the creation mandate of Genesis, but the covenant arrangement has been redrawn for a world of sin. Chapter 8, verse 21. In Genesis chapter 9, there are no covenant conditions to be met, no curses invoked, no if-then formula. Instead, God unilaterally promises preservation for the world and reestablishes that man is made in the image of God. Chapter 9, verse 6, that he should be fruitful and multiply. Chapter 9, verse 1, and that he is God's vice regent on the earth. Chapter 9, verse 2. The covenant of Genesis 9 reestablishes the blessings and dominion concerns of Genesis chapter 1, but in a way that assumes a fallen world instead of a pristine garden paradise. And that's going to conclude our reading from the biblical texts and Daily Doctrine. As we begin in the book of 1 Samuel this morning, we are being introduced to Samuel, and he is going to be the godly prophet that brings in the kings to come in the coming chapters in 1 Samuel. We saw the wickedness of Hophni and Phinehas and the promised judgment that God is going to bring upon the house of on Eli, excuse me. And we're going to see that unfold in the coming chapters. And then we read about the Noahic covenant. The world will no longer be destroyed by a flood, a major flood, a worldwide flood. God will not do that again. This is a promise that God made to mankind, all of mankind, not just his children, but all of mankind, even the creatures, even animals. And that sign in the sky, the rainbow, has been hijacked by the LGBT community, but it is a Judeo-Christian symbol first for us, as a reminder that God has made a promise that he will no longer destroy the world by water. And I'm thankful for that today. I hope you enjoyed this reading. I hope you have a great day and give God glory in it. Soli Deo Gloria.